Hey, what's up, guys? This is Cody Brockway back with another episode of Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Woohoo! And as usual, we got Mr. Kermit the Frog over here, who, of course, has nothing to say, as you know. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. What we're going to talk about today is newer releases from older bands. So bands who are 30, 40, 50 years old and still actively making new music to this day. And why I think that it's our job as the fans to at least give the new releases respect and listen time and attention. Because a lot of these times you'll find that the newer releases from these said bands are equally as good as what came before, and in some cases, maybe if it's rare or not, I don't know, but even in some cases, it's actually better than what they did before. I know people who, have respective bands, whatever, and they say, oh, I stopped listening to this band after 1987, everything after that. But then you find out that they actually don't have any of the albums after 1987, or they've never really given it a shot or never really listened to it, and I go, well, actually, the last 3 or 4 albums I've heard from this band are actually really good. And they go, oh, well, I admittedly never really gave the most recent one a chance. And it's like, well, come on, man. You say you love this band, but why are you not giving it a shot? Like, why are you not giving it your attention if you love this band so much? Well, I stopped listening after 1987. Hell with that. Hell with that. You gotta change your attitude. These bands are still making great music. We're going to get into some bands who have, even in the last 3 years, put out some amazing work and some of the best work in these bands' catalog, for sure. Now, another thing is the fact that radios are very nostalgia-based. I was sitting with my dad tonight. We were listening to the Rolling Stones, the new record, Hackney Diamonds, which is going to be the first one I pull out here. I'll just do that now. We were listening to this, and I'm going, God, these songs would have been hits. Like massive, massive radio hits if they came out in the 80s, because this album is absolutely incredible. I own Second Chance Records out here in Caledonia, and someone came in a couple weeks ago looking for Stones, about a week ago, I guess, when this came out. And I was telling him about the new album, and he's like, no, I'm not really interested in hearing the new one. I want one of the old ones. And I didn't say anything, but it's like, why? Like, this is classic Stones. Classic Stones. And the radios, like I was mentioning, the radios don't give it airtime. Even though I know if a song like Angry had to come out 35 years ago, it would have been all over, the radio. A friend of mine even said that song would have been in every movie, everything like that. But now, I mean, hey, you might get the occasional radio station that plays it, and, these guys are so classic that they don't even need the radio promotion anyway. But the point is that the radios, a lot of the times, don't even bother to put some of this music out to people when this is so worthy of being heard. This is an excellent album, but it's not just limited to the Rolling Stones. There's tons of artists like this. Radio is very nostalgia based now, and so basically you kind of have to know who your favorite bands are and kind of run with that. So, and that's kind of sad because, back in the day, radio was how you heard what was new. So if you want to listen to new stuff, like I do all the time, if you want to listen to new and different stuff, you have to actively search it out for yourself. It's not going to come to you anymore. So that's the Rolling Stones' Hackney Diamonds. You should definitely be checking that out. Another one, Paul McCartney. Still, this is actually open, but I keep the shrink wrap on it because I'm crazy. But this is the green vinyl edition of McCartney 3. Again, the 2000s and 2010s have seen him put out some of his best work. I'm going to go back to as far as 1997. You get Flaming Pie. You get, then some really bad stuff happens to him in his life. Then you get Driving Rain in 2001. I'm not crazy about that album, but it's not bad. It's still worthy of your attention. Then in 2006 and 2007, respectively, you get Chaos and Creation in the Backyard and Memory Almost Full. Then a couple years later, 2013, he does the new record. Okay? Excellent album. Top to bottom, great shit. Great album. 2018, or was it 17? It was 17 or 18. Anyway, he puts out Egypt Station. That quickly, when I first heard that quickly became one of my favorite Paul McCartney records and still is to this day. I'm a massive Beatles fan. I love the Beatles. I love Wings. I gotta tell you, if you haven't given it a shot, Egypt Station is 100% worth your time, and so is McCartney 3. I think I'm probably more partial to Egypt Station, but given the circumstances, this is also given the circumstances in which this was recorded, this is also an excellent album. This is totally a solo album. It's 100% all done, produced, written, performed, everything by Paul McCartney. He does every fucking note on it, okay? But the amount of people who have never heard it, it's crazy. But he has millions of fans out there. Naturally, millions of people have heard this, but there's also millions of McCartney fans who likely have not given this a shot at all. And you don't hear it on the radio, so that's not going to help. The point is, if you love these bands, it is your due diligence as a fan of these bands to give a shot. Even if you don't like it, you can still say, hey, I listened to that. I listened to that album. I'm not a fan of it. That's fine. At least you gave it a shot. Okay? That's what it's all about. Give it some attention. Give it a shot. Give it a shot like you would have done when you were younger. Because you might be surprised what you find you actually like. Even if you don't like the entire album, even if you come away liking one song and adding one more song to your playlist, then that is a big thumbs up for the artist, and it's a big thumbs up for you, too. Here's another one. This band formed in 1981, and hint, hint, they're on my shirt, Metallica 72 Seasons. Metallica have been on a straight path of awesomeness from 2008 all the way up to this recent album here, okay? I'm going to go back and even say that from 96 and 97, respectively, I love Load and Reload. I'm not a fan of Saint Anger. I don't think it's a horrible album. I've given it, I've listened to quite a few of the songs on that quite a few times, and the production's not great. It's not a great album, but it saved the band from breaking up. And since then, they've put out a string of amazing albums, and you would not believe the amount of... obviously there's millions of fans who love these albums. I'm not going to deny that, and I think that's great because I love them too. I think that stretch of albums from 2008 onwards is some of the best Metallica stuff the band has done. There are so many people who have never heard a single track off of those albums and go, everything after 1991, I hate it. Really, you do? Oh, but you've never heard it though. So how do you know if you hate it? See where I'm going with this? Yeah. So anyway, 72 Seasons, the Metallica have really pushed the envelope, and they know what they're good at. And every song on here is strong. Every song on here is very, very good. And if you haven't heard this, you definitely should, because it's an excellent album, Metallica 72 Seasons. And go check out Death Magnetic and Hardwired to Self-Destruct if you haven't checked those out already too. Metallica have been on a straight ass-kicking path, and they've been doing a damn good job at it. Iron Maiden. There's a lot of people like this album. A lot of people have given it a shot. That's great. But if you're one of those, again, you don't hear this on the radio. Every song is 10 fucking minutes. Are you kidding me? Every song is that long? Of course you're not going to hear it on the radio. People who listen to the radio aren't going to want to hear a 10-minute song. Even the Metallica songs from 72 Seasons that get played on the local stations here all get chopped down because people don't want to hear a song that's over 6 minutes anymore. How we have come full circle. Yeah. Anyway, Iron Maiden Senjutsu, one of the best albums definitely of their comeback, and definitely one of their most essential listening albums, I'd have to say. Even if you listened to it and you didn't like it, that's great. At least you gave it a shot. There's some people who immediately just even look at the cover. Well, maybe not this cover, but the cover's amazing. But some people who will just look at it on a surface level and go, I'm not into it. Hear 30 seconds of a song and go, huh. But those guys are missing out. Because if you actually dig deep and give it a shot, these albums that I'm telling you, especially this one, are all fucking incredible. And these are all great bands that you know and love. Why wouldn't you give them a shot? These albums are excellent. Judas Priest. I would hold up their newest album that's coming out, but it's not out yet, so I'm going to hold up their most recent one up to now, which is 2016's Firepower. Sorry. 2018, my mistake. Lots of great tunes on this. Is it their best album? No, it's not. But if you're a Priest fan, it is it's heavy, it's well produced, and there's no reason, if you're a Priest fan, to have not even heard this and not given a chance, because it's an excellent album. And it's a band that still cares about their craft, just like all these bands I'm mentioning here. These bands all care enough to put their souls out there and make new songs for you. And, you as a fan of these bands should be checking it out, because you really don't know what you'd be missing. This is a great album, Firepower. We're going to go into prog territory here, sometimes maybe even a little bit classical too. Steve Hackett. There's a lot of Genesis fans that don't even know Steve Hackett put out a solo album. Steve Hackett has put out close to 30 solo albums at this point, and these albums just came out in 2021. It was 2 years ago, and he put both of these albums out at the same time, and they are both so different from each other. This is heavy prog, borderline metal, Surrender of Silence, and this is an acoustic classical album done by the same guy in the same year. And if you haven't listened to his new stuff, post 2005 or whatever, you're missing out on a lot of great stuff. My entry to Steve Hackett's solo work was an album called Wolflight. It came out in 2015. I went and saw them on the tour. Saw him 7 times since. Well, 6 times, including that first time, but it makes it 7. Anyway, the point is, he's got a fan in me, and I'm willing to, even if I don't like some of the things that he does, occasionally, he's got nearly 30 albums out. Naturally, not every 30 albums is going to be great. But the point is, if you respect that artist enough, then the respect should go to listening to their new material too. Even if you end up not liking it, that's fine, but at least you gave it a shot. And don't just go, I didn't even listen to that because it's their new stuff. I don't like any band's new stuff. Well, what the fuck? Ozzy, patient number 9. Oh, what are we doing here? Sorry. Patient number 9. This man had just gone through about every health issue that you can imagine. Now, a lot of these songs, some of these songs did get played on the radio when it came out. If you listen to 97.7 and stuff, they did get some radio play. Patient number 9. And the one from the album before it too, Ordinary Man, you got Under the Graveyard and stuff. So his work is definitely, of course there's going to be stations who play all of these albums. Okay, I've heard numerous Metallica songs from the new album all over the radio, whether it's Sirius XM or FM. I think that's great. But there's still a portion of fans who go, I don't listen after 1985, or I don't... What? You may love some of the songs on these albums that you've just looked at it and go, oh, that's a new album by so-and-so. I got off that train 20 years ago. It's like, well, you are missing out because these albums are excellent. This next album is one of the best albums that this band has put out since probably the 90s. That's Megadeth, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. And I know all the bullshit that surrounded the band, too, with them firing Dave Ellefson and yada, yada, yada. But still, the album was really good. I'm quite blown away every time I listen to this album. It is very, very, very good. It's heavy, it's fast. If you like Megadeth, this is a real Megadeth album. It really is. So if you haven't given it a shot, you should. Even if you like 2 songs on it, that's 2 more than you knew before. Testament. Titans of Creation. This is a limited edition. And again, obviously, like I've said a million times here in this video already, there's millions of fans of this band and millions of fans of all the bands I mentioned here, but there's always that one person that goes, I don't listen to after, so-and-so album. But this is their newest one. I think it's their newest one. Either way, yeah, it's 2020. It's their newest one. And it's awesome. It slaps. So just because, I don't know, whether you're older and you think you have less time or whatever it is, you should be paying respect to the bands that you once loved. Even if they go in a different direction, you might actually love that direction if you give the album a shot. Maybe you don't like it, but you should still keep up with your bands, because they might come back and do something even 2 or 3 albums down the road that you think that is fucking amazing. But you're not going to know that if you go, oh, I stopped listening after this album and I haven't listened to anything they've put out past this record. You sound very pompous when you say that, I have to tell you. And I'm not meaning to get angry here. This is fun. But it is a piss off, especially when you're a music fan like me and you love to hear everything of what everyone has to say. I don't love everything that I hear, but I'm open-minded enough to maybe understand where the artist is coming from and understand where they're going, or understand what they're trying to do, etc., etc. And so even if something, I have to admit, I'm a big Yes fan, and you'll notice I didn't include the new Yes album because I'm not a big fan of it. But you know what? Kudos to those guys for putting out and feeling that drive to create new music. Maybe it's just not for me. I don't know. I still love every guy in the band. And I don't go on the fan sites, shit-talking them. That's another thing that we could talk about another time. But I still buy the album. I still check it out. Even if I don't like it, I just put it on the shelf and come back to it. Maybe I'll like it in a year. Maybe I'll take some time off and like it. Or maybe I'll never like it. Who knows? But at least I gave it a shot. This is all about giving it a shot. Your favorite bands deserve that from you. Okay, the bands that supplied your favorite albums in your youth, they deserve you coming back and listening to what they've got to say now. Even they might be older, they might have different things to say now than what they said in their younger records. You should respect your favorite musicians enough to be open-minded enough, at very least, to buy their new CD and go. Or you even have YouTube now. You stream it for free. You can listen to the new anything record and go, oh yeah, okay, I actually kind of like this. Maybe I didn't think I did, but I actually really like this new song. It might be worth your shot, because you might be surprised that some of these bands are doing some of the most excellent shit that they've ever done, or equally as good as what they've done before. So, thank you for listening to my rant. We'll see you again, folks. Thanks for hanging out. This is Brockway's Vinyl Bites. I'm Cody Brockway, owner of Second Chance Records, 20 Argyle Street, North Caledonia, Ontario. And I see you on the next video. Hurrah! Rock on!